good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our podcast. Today, I'm not here alone. I will be here with,
Badass. Hi, guys.
and I would like to introduce today's topic. It's something that is very personal to us as Indonesians. It's not just statistics of a headline, it's something that we can feel in our everyday life.
That is correct. Even though we have seen Indonesians' poverty rates going down over the years, or even going up in recent years, but it kind of feels a lot more pressuring, even though to us middle class people, you could say all the groceries prices going up, the job layoffs is getting crazy, even though our closest relatives might have been in that position not long ago.
Agree. We kind of live paycheck to paycheck nowadays. It's very normal to do that. And it's really scary, honestly, because the middle class has always been seen as somewhat of a safe zone, right? The group that doesn't really struggle, but doesn't qualify as poor, but isn't also boxed as someone who is wealthy.
Even though for us specifically students who are about to graduate soon, we don't have that certainty whether we will get a job immediately or not. So that made us question, could we be next? Could our family be the next in the line of poverty in Indonesia as well?
Today, we would like to talk about the issue to help spread awareness. Let's dive in. And when we all first talk about Indonesia's middle class, specifically, we're talking about a group that is large and diverse. A lot of different professions are in this so called group of middle class, right? For example, teachers, civil servants, young professionals, small business owners, employees in private companies, families in suburbs, and even fresh graduates from big cities. And these people who earn enough to live decently, but not enough to feel secure.
And when you did mention that it's the diverse group of people that can be classified as middle class people, and to think of it, that's almost everyone in Indonesia, don't you think?
Yes, I agree.
And aside from that, something that I think we've all noticed about this economic shift is that being in middle class today doesn't feel the same as being middle class like 5 to 10 years ago. So, for example, I did remember as a child, I used to go to cinemas often and we bought popcorns and food directly from the cinemas. It used to cost only for like 30,000 rupiah and under. But nowadays, if you look at the cinemas, it costs you like 70 for a food. That's like a huge differences. And that was like back in 2010, around 2012. So I guess uh to be in this point where everything feels so expensive takes a long time, but it's inevitable. At some point, things will get even more pricier without us even knowing, without us even realizing that it is constantly shifting towards that way.
That stability really feels fragile. Living cost again, it rises while our salaries don't really grow, right?
Yeah.
And people who are comfortable are now cutting back on a lot of things like food, entertainment, and especially something really important as healthcare.
Yeah, I think we've all feel like that more often in college life. How do you feel about this? What about tell us about how you spend daily your outcomes on foods?
I try to buy groceries instead
Mm,
of actually going out to eat every day because I even though we live in a college residential area, some of the food is still I wouldn't say is cheap, right? And having groceries is actually more cheaper even though it takes a lot longer. It's a lot more effort. And it's part of how I try to survive and live. I save only very little of my money because the rest goes to things like my everyday essential needs. What about you?
I think I grew up not knowing much about financial literacy. So, with the first couple of years, I was really reckless about my spending. But nowadays, I feel like spending extra 6,000 on rice is really So over the time, yeah, I have to take your advices to cook my own rice every other day, and then I buy the rest of the food. So yeah, I think it really has gotten to the point where we have to like tiptoeing, walking on eggshells in terms of like everyday spending, even if it's our daily needs.
This is actually something what experts like to call the middle class squeeze, where our lifestyles shift. Instead of saving, many middle class Indonesians, also, this is a very new, I guess not very, very new, but it's something that is getting more popular by the day, which is pay later services and credit installments or online loans,
Yeah.
right? It's been getting very popular.
Yeah, and to add that, being in this situation for a lot of us actually, when something unexpected happens, like you could say us being sick or us laptops getting broken down and need services, this feels like more of an emergency and a crisis than something that we could have easily fixed. So I don't think this this was not the case of many for our parents, but sure for our generations, this is a big deal. This is a crisis that we have to
This is
face.
our reality that we have to
Yeah.
face. And I would like also to add, it's been what, like 4 years now since the pandemic has
Oh, that is
slowed down,
true.
right?
Yeah,
The pandemic really, really took a toll on the economy all over the world, not just Indonesia. It
exactly.
really made things worse. It people lost jobs, so many layoffs happened, savings were drained due to medical bills, and even after the economy reopened, I think some people are still recovering to this day.
Yes, that is true. It was so devastating because it happens to the closest of our people as well. It happens to our family. It happens to people around us. And sometimes we feel helpless as well because we're in a position that we couldn't help much with the job market opportunities in Indonesia.
So we were just talking about our experiences. Now let's get into the data. According to Badan Pusat Statistik Indonesia, Indonesia's official poverty rate for March 2025 was recorded at 8.47%. On the surface, that sounds like progress, right?
But what people don't see is the group of people that is just right above poverty. So according to again Badan Pusat Statistik Indonesia, there are around 24% of all Indonesians are in this category, which is the middle class. I think we are also in this statistic as well. That's like a million, if not thousands of people who are not poor, but also would become poor and could easily fall off to that slippery slope of poverty as well. Systemic poverty, if you may.
Yeah, and the reasons are, say, here are some of the reasons that I could list. Right, so income is not growing, but our expenses are becoming more expensive. Every year, groceries become more expensive, rent increases, fuel prices rise, especially after all of the issues that went around recently, and electricity bills grow. And but salary increases, I don't think they come that often, but if they do, they're very small. People are working harder just to stay where they are.
Ah, that is true. And that's the scariest part of the situations. A lot of people don't realize we have so much to carry yet so little to afford. So we can be how close we are to the financial trouble until something unexpected happens. Like I said before, sickness, your things getting broken down, you getting laid off, anything could happen.
Many middle class workers nowadays are mostly contract based because a lot of companies like to cut down on their expenses, right? For workers, they don't want to give out worker rights. So They instead make these employees contract based for like 1 year, 6 months, and even 3 months contracts sometimes, and no guaranteed renewal, no long term security, no strong safety net, no insurance, no company insurance, no pension money either. And that puts so many people at a constant risk, again, on that slippery slope of poverty.
Mm.
One layoff, and suddenly a family really has no income. One illness, and savings disappear overnight.
Oh, don't get me started of how essential needs has become very scarce and worse for all of us. Take healthcare for example. We do have BPJS, but then again, it limits people who can access certain surfaces and who can access certain services. So it's not really equal to everybody. And in university tuition, you know how
Oh,
expensive things are. Even though we have beasiswa or tuition fee that is scholarships, you would say, it's still very expensive for people to afford. So after talking all of that, what do you think that can be done to prevent the situation from getting a lot worse?
so I think first of all, financial literacy, right?
Oh, that is true.
So not just saving for or budgeting, but understanding that risk, emergency funds, and especially long-term planning. Middle class families need stronger financial cushions.
I think aside from that, investing in skills, especially job skills, I think it's also important to overcome this because, like I said before, the job marketing is changing rapidly and people and the competitiveness in it is getting a lot more tighter. So I think preparing people with the needed skills like management and etc. could help people have better opportunities than they are right now.
And to build on that, also to diversify income, right? Relying on one salary is becoming really risky. A side business, maybe freelance work, and maybe digital gigs that are now really big, can help build that safety net for people.
Aside from that, I think uh, this has to be systemic. This has to work with the government. We can also provide a lot more social protection, like for example, more scholarship opportunities, housing assistance for people who happens to be homeless, and unemployment support for people who get laid off could also help us going through all of this, so we wouldn't immediately fall down to the deepest end of it.
I agree, actually. To build on that as well is basically to just reduce the cost of essentials. Accessible public health, accessible public transportation, affordable schools, and a reasonably priced housing can significantly reduce pressure on these middle class households.
To also acknowledge this fear of uncertainty. So it's okay not to be able to avoid everything that we want as long as we know that we're trying, as long as we know that we needed systematic changes in this country for this, for all of this opportunity to work out is also needed as well.
I agree. And I would like to add that poverty is actually very complex. It's emotional, it's psychological, and especially very importantly, it's structural. But if we push for better systems, stronger safety nets, and more inclusive policies, of course, things can improve in the future.
Mm. All right, then I think that is all from us talking about the systemic poverty and the sandwich generation that we have all been in this situation.
Yeah.
So that is all from me. I am Faras, and this is.
And I'm Afina. Thank you so much for listening.